When you're consulting with gym owners specifically, because I'd like to get this in tiers of gym owner down to coach. When
Yeah.
you guys are consulting with the 85 gym owners across the world, what is the thing you have on seemingly on repeat? Or what are the early problems that need solving? Like what are the big rocks where when people, they come to you, they come to Ollie, they go, right, I own this studio, or I own this warehouse, this gym. We do small group PT, semi-private. Here's, they kind of lay out the game plan out in front of you. What are the glaring things that you see most at that level? Because I'm going to ask you the same question when it comes to just a one-to-one PT,
Mm.
but I'm really curious on the business side. What are people missing? What is the thing that you guys? What are the holes in the boat that you guys are plugging first?
So a lot of them might not actually be running this model. They might be running a large group model in a 2,500 square foot facility, 4 or 5,000 square foot facility. So the first thing that we do through an assessment process is send us a video of the space. Send us a video of a video of the class in action. Send us the next 4 weeks of program design, and explain to us why it's programmed, how it's been programmed, and what your intentions are. Explain who the mean average is within your gym and what is it that they're trying to achieve. So, like, we always come at it from a product standpoint first. What is the actual fucking coaching product happening in-house? And by their way of describing programming will then allow me to decide what it is that I'm gonna design for them from a strategy standpoint. Because if they shit coaches, they're doing our education and they've got 12 months before they can even worry about anything else. Because you're fucking not good enough. If they have money to invest into a great coach, then I'll say go hire that person and get a head coach in here to do your product, and I'll teach you how to sell and market the business. So product first, that's the first thing. Once we can then nail the product, then it's easy to make money. Making money in the industry is the fucking easiest thing. But if you have a shit product and you ruin your reputation, you can't come back from that.
So, I mean, product first, I was smiling because that's literally like our moniker. We've probably gotten further than we should by focusing on the product, and way late to the game are we when it comes to actually marketing and sales and design and social media. Like we were, yeah, so diligently product first in our approach that I think is refreshing to hear that, because the majority of the business space, especially in the advisory capacity now, is like funnels and landing pages and call to action buttons. Yeah, no, for sure. And it really becomes a race to the bottom, or a race to just develop another business coach, which I don't think we need. We need more doctors, I think, is what we need. I don't think we need more business coaches. Now, okay, so product first, looking at your staff, looking at your facility. And I guess I didn't think I'd be interested in this, but as you mentioned, and knowing the aesthetic of Marchon as a facility, where does aesthetic play a role? Like, one of the axioms that I sort of live and teach by is like structure indicates function, right? The structure of a facility obviously is going to play a role, but how much importance is given, and what advice do you find yourself giving on like either the usability of the space, whether from a design perspective or just on the, have you ever once looked someone in the eye and been like, hey, this looks terrible, paint the walls, the bars are rusty? Like where does that factor in? Obviously product first and always, but where does some of like the more window dressing components fall into your intervention of like, this looks like shit?
Oh, mate. I mean, so one thing that we are known for is we'll be that direct and we'll be like, what the fuck is this shit? How do you expect to charge what we're going to charge if this is how it looks? So, product for us is every touch point that the client's going to have within your business. So it's the customer service, it's the coaching product, it's all of that. But it's also the function or the functionality of the design, how it looks, everything. It all has to line up. Now, budget dependent, might depend on how well, like I recently took on a gym and I spent 35 grand of his money to make it look way better. He's seen that return and some very quickly, purely because the gym is now better designed, it's more easily marketable, whereas previously it looked like an absolute shit show. So it all feeds into like the same kind of ecosystem. But the biggest point is the design of the space in terms of the coach's ability to see everyone at like an equal proportion. So, for example, you know how in a CrossFit gym they often put a rig down the middle, right? The problem with that is the coach's point of view to be able to like facilitate people's like movement and stuff is so stuck between like, oh, I need to move here, I need to move here. Whereas you, by simply just not doing that and changing the way you deliver, let's say, for example, if everyone were back squatting, for a terrible example, maybe how we design that space should be better so that the coach could have more attention on those people at that stage. So like, for example, a good 6-to-1 model might be 2 half racks so that 2 people are working on the rack. The next 2 are going to get a proportional amount of rest in relation to how much they're going to try and express on that barbell. Whereas what most people do, it's like it's circuit training all the fucking time, right? It's like go from back squat to burpee to American kettlebell swings. What stimulus are we trying to drive here? So gym design is literally everything. And the biggest issue is people just make it into a really expensive circuit gym, which just makes no sense at all. Everyone's got their own barbell. What? Everyone's got their own rack. What?
So product, aesthetic, right? 2 things that are going to drive acquisition and retention. That's what I see, right? Like the product will drive retention and the aesthetic will drive the acquisition. I'm curious if you don't have similar advice to the level of the PT. Now, you know, you get on a FaceTime or a video call with a gym owner, you go through and you go, you're right, mate, show me the bathroom. Oh, what? No, show me the bathroom. This is dog shit. There's fucking paper towel everywhere. There's no toilet paper. Clean it up. This place looks shit. How often, because like I know you and Ollie, how often are you talking to one-to-one PTs and being like, hey man, the aesthetic, a little bit sloppy. What if you actually had a fucking rig on you? What if that, like how does that, do those principles of product and aesthetic from an acquisition and retention standpoint, do those transfer as easily into conversations of one-to-one coaches? Like, hey man, your product is good, you're a smart coach, but you look like a fucking melted candle. Maybe you should tighten it up.
I love that. And I mean, truthfully, you know, I spent a lot of my PT career, and I was a very successful PT, looking like a melted candle. Now, I would go to say, like, being a front row rugby player, like I always just wanted to be like this big, strong rugby guy. Being like, it was just part of who I was. But I'd be lying to you if I said there wasn't insecurities around, shit, I don't look as good as Ollie. Does that mean that I'm not as good as Ollie as a PT? It actually took me 11, 12 years to actually sort out my own rig in the fitness space, which if I'm completely open, honest, transparent, and vulnerable to you, I'd be lying if I said there weren't moments of insecurity around my rig. But in relation to your question, hands down, you need to live and die by your values and your sword, and you need to know what it takes to go through all that shit. 100%.
Well, I mean, I feel so bad for you because you just happened to stumble across potentially the most handsome man in the world. Is that fair to say? I'm going to go on record right now. We'll clip this into a reel. Ollie Marchon is the most handsome man in the world. So he makes everyone insecure. So God bless you for sticking it out, because if I spend more than 2 minutes around this guy, I'm like, nah, someone's doing a comparison of me and him, and I look like I just crawled out from under a bridge. I'm leaving. Sorry, Ollie. I'll see you next year. So God bless you for being able to just put up with the beaming, glowing light that is the handsomeness of Ollie Marchon. It's really not fair. It's not fair to the rest of the industry. We should get together and we should discuss he should not be allowed to be on the internet because I'm there. And it's not fair to me as a, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well, it's funny because and that's what one of the things I love about, I mean, South Africans, the number of times you've said the word values in, I don't know, 20 minutes. The only other person that I know who refers to their values in such a concise period of time as often is James McIntosh. So
shout out
again,
the boy. What
if
a
you want
lich.
some, have to. This guy's closer than blood. Let's move into like the individual PT space. So we're not advising business owners. We've already told the personal trainer that they're fat and they need to be in better shape. When we start looking at one-to-one PT businesses, let's stick in the online coaching space. What's the playbook? What are the big rocks? What's missing?
This is honestly my biggest pet hate. Reason being, and this is a great discussion point. I do not believe that you have earned the right to go online until you fucking cut your teeth on the gym floor for at least 5 years. Because for you to just do some qualification and call yourself an online coach, go live in Bali and write programs that you have no idea what impact it's going to have on the client fucking grills me so much. I hate it with every ounce of my being. No one who comes through our education gets the permission from me that you're allowed to go online. If you do it, fine. I'll be like, fuck you. Like, the best you can do is be a lifestyle coach and be like, oh, just eat your granola at this time, go for a walk at this time, and maybe meditate at this time. That's what you can program. And then maybe say to the client, go and see a strength coach at this time and this time during the week. That's the best that you should do in your first 5 years while you go and cut your teeth on actual program design.